The arrival of the Galactic Council chamber was larger than any building on Earth. Its walls curved like the inside of a giant starship, shining with blue light that seemed alive. Strange banners from dozens of alien worlds floated in the air, glowing. With unknown energy, creatures of every shape and color sat in rising circles around the center floor, their voices whispering in hundreds of languages. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled the stars. It was here that war was prevented, trade was controlled, and justice was decided. Only the greatest civilizations were allowed a seat. And today, for the first time in history, the humans had been invited. The humans entered nervously, their footsteps echoing against the shining floor. There were only 5 of them, chosen carefully by Earth's leaders, 3 men in formal suits, a young translator clutching a datapad, and a woman with calm eyes who walked silently behind them. They looked small compared to the towering alien diplomats, many of whom were twice their size, with claws, wings, or glowing skin. Whispers rose in the chamber. Some aliens stared with curiosity, others with open contempt. To most of them, humanity was nothing but a new species of troublemakers. Too young and too wild to stand among ancient powers. Some called them reckless children who had discovered fire and now thought themselves gods. High above the chamber, a massive figure leaned forward. He was the alien diplomat, the one chosen to speak for the dominant empire of the stars. His body shimmered like metal, his eyes glowed like burning suns, and his voice carried like thunder. When he spoke, the chamber fell silent. "So," he said slowly, his mouth twisting in a cruel smile, "these are the humans, the so-called children of Earth, the destroyers of their own home, the ones who poison their skies and fight endless wars." A ripple of laughter ran through the chamber, cold and sharp. The humans froze in place, their faces turning red with shame. The alien diplomat continued, his voice rising with mocking power. "I have studied your history, fragile creatures. You kill each other for land, for gold, for gods you cannot see. You build weapons to burn your own world. And yet you come here asking for respect, asking for equality." He raised his long hand, pointing directly at the humans. "You are not ready. You will never be ready." The words stung like blades. The council laughed again, some with open cruelty, others with hidden smiles to them. The entertainment had just begun. Humanity, it seemed, was to be humiliated on its very first day. But among the humans, the woman with the calm eyes did not move. Her name was Dr. Elena Carter. While the others shifted uncomfortably, she stood still, watching. Her gaze was sharp, steady, unshaken. She had expected this. She had prepared for this. The alien diplomat leaned back in his seat, enjoying the silence of the humans. He thought them broken, too weak to respond. He thought the day would end with their shame written in the records of the stars. But something in Elena's quiet presence unsettled him. There was no fear in her face, only patience. And though she said nothing yet, her silence felt like a storm waiting to break. The whispers around the chamber grew louder. "Are these humans truly so weak?" One alien muttered, "Look at them. They cannot even defend themselves," said another. A third voice whispered, "Perhaps the stories are true. Perhaps they are only violent animals, good for nothing but destruction." The human delegation felt the weight of every eye on them. Sweat gathered on the young translator's forehead, his fingers shaking as he tried to type notes. One of the men in suits bit his lip, wishing he could disappear. But Elena remained unmoved, as if she were carved from stone. The alien diplomat smiled wider. "Silence," he said. "The silence of guilt, the silence of shame. Tell me, humans, do you deny it? Do you deny that your species is a plague upon its own world? Do you deny that your wars prove your savagery?" The question echoed through the chamber. It was not only a challenge, it was a trap. If they denied, the council would laugh at their lies. If they admitted, they would admit weakness. Either way, humanity would lose. A hush fell, so deep that the glowing walls themselves seemed to listen. Every alien in the chamber leaned forward, eager for the humans' answer, the fate of Earth's first appearance in the stars balanced on the edge of silence, and still Elena Carter said nothing. Not yet. Her eyes scanned the chamber, reading the crowd, measuring the alien diplomat. Her lips curved, just slightly, into a knowing smile. The moment stretched. The alien diplomat frowned. For the first time, he wondered if perhaps he had underestimated the humans. The chamber held its breath, and the story of humanity's arrival in the stars was only just beginning. The mockery, the alien diplomat leaned forward, his golden eyes glowing like two burning suns around him. The chamber fell silent again, waiting for his next words. He spoke slowly, with the confidence of someone who had mocked many before and always won. "Humans," he said, his voice rolling like thunder. "You stand in this sacred chamber as if you belong. But you forget, this is the council of the wise, the eternal guardians of the stars." He lifted his arms wide, showing the banners of countless alien empires. Each of us has ruled the skies for thousands of years. We have mastered science, we have tamed war, we have built peace that lasts beyond time. And then, you arrive, a species barely out of the mud, wearing fragile skin and fragile pride, daring to call yourselves our equals. The crowd erupted into cruel laughter. Deep voices rumbled, insect-like clicks echoed, and even metallic beings gave off sharp screeches. The sound rolled over the humans like a storm. Shaking their hearts, the young translator dropped his datapad, his hands trembling. One of the suited men lowered his head, unable to meet the eyes of the council. The alien diplomat's voice cut through the laughter. "Shall I remind you of your history, children of Earth? You who burned your forests, poisoned your oceans, and cracked your skies with fire? Shall I remind you of your endless wars where millions died for flags and kings and shadows of gods? Even now, as you beg for a place among us, your nations threaten each other with weapons that could shatter your world." He laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. "And you dare to call yourselves civilized?" The council laughed again, louder this time. Some aliens slapped their clawed hands on the railing. Others hissed with delight. They had waited for this. The humiliation of a young race. It was tradition to test newcomers with fire, to strip them of pride until nothing was left but shame. And today, the target was humanity. But through it all, Dr. Elena Carter stood still, her eyes never leaving the alien diplomat. She listened carefully, her mind noting every insult, every false smile, every laugh that rose from the crowd. Her companions shifted in their seats, but she remained unbroken. The alien diplomat's words grew sharper. He walked slowly around the central floor, his shimmering body reflecting the blue light of the chamber. "Your species is impatient, greedy, violent. You rush to claim the stars before you have learned to master yourselves. Do you know what the council whispers about you? They call you a plague, a short-lived fire that will burn bright and then destroy itself. They predict that in 100 years, your species will vanish, leaving only ashes behind." He stopped and pointed at the humans again. "Perhaps we should not welcome you here. Perhaps we should protect the galaxy from you. Tell me, what good have you done? What greatness can you claim?" The silence that followed was crushing. It was the kind of silence that begged for an answer, but also mocked the very idea of one. All eyes turned to the humans, waiting to see them crumble. The humans' faces tightened, their pride bleeding under the weight of the alien diplomat's words. A tall alien with translucent skin and glowing veins leaned toward his neighbor. "See? They cannot answer," he whispered. Another alien, covered in feathers of silver, nodded. "They are only animals who learn to wear clothes. Nothing more." The laughter began again, quieter this time, but sharper. It spread like poison through the chamber. Every word of mockery dug deeper into the hearts of the human delegation. And still Elena Carter did not move. Her silence was not weakness, but control. Her eyes studied the crowd, measuring who laughed with cruelty and who laughed out of fear of being silent. She saw cracks in the council's unity, small but real. The alien diplomat noticed her stillness, and it annoyed him. He wanted her to flinch. He wanted her to break. So he turned his full attention on her, his voice dripping with scorn. "And you," he said, staring directly into Elena's eyes, "a human woman, standing in this hall as if you matter. Tell me, what are you but fragile bone and soft flesh? In our worlds, you would not last a day. In our wars, you would not survive a breath. What makes you think you can sit among us?" The chamber grew even quieter. The mockery had become personal now, sharpened like a blade aimed at one heart. The humans shifted uneasily, some ready to speak, some ready to flee. But Elena did not answer. Not yet. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, her calm smile unchanged, and her silence burned brighter than any words. The alien diplomat sneered, mistaking her quiet for weakness. "Nothing to say?" "Of course not. Humans always hide behind silence when truth is spoken. You dream of greatness, but you are too small for the stars. Too fragile, too foolish, too broken." He turned away, lifting his hands high. "Council members, let this be proof humanity is not ready for the stars. They are a danger to themselves and to us all. Let us laugh at their pride, and then let us send them back to their broken world where they belong." The chamber roared with approval. Some aliens stamped their feet, others clicked their jaws. The laughter rose like fire, echoing from every wall. Humanity stood surrounded by ridicule, mocked and belittled before the galaxy. But through it all, Elena Carter's calm remained unshaken. Inside her mind, her thoughts were sharp as blades. She was not broken, she was not defeated, she was waiting. Because she knew something the alien diplomat did not. The silence he thought was weakness was the silence of preparation, and soon, her words would strike with more power than any weapon humanity had ever built. Asterisk, the human woman. The chamber was still alive with cruel laughter. Every corner echoed with the mocking voices of alien diplomats. But in the center of it all, one figure stood silent, her calm stronger than the storm around her. Dr. Elena Carter, the only woman in the human delegation, had not moved since the moment they entered. She stood straight, her hands folded lightly. In front of her, her eyes steady on the alien diplomat, while her companions trembled under the weight of humiliation. Elena looked almost curious, as if she were observing a game. The alien diplomat noticed this stillness, and it unsettled him. He had mocked humans many times in front of smaller gatherings, always breaking their pride, always sending them away in silence. But this one, this quiet human woman, did not break. Her silence was not weakness, it was something else, something sharper. The council noticed too. A tall insectoid alien tilted its head, clicking its mandibles in thought. She does not laugh, she does not flinch. It whispered to its neighbor. Another alien with scales that shimmered like oil frowned. Perhaps she does not understand the insult, it muttered, though its voice carried unease. The alien diplomat turned toward her, his voice rising like a blade. "Tell me, woman of Earth, do you not hear my words? Or do you sit silent because you know they are true? Your species is violent, your species is weak, and you are weaker still. A fragile human female among giants. What power do you hold here? What right do you have to stand among us?" The words cut through the air, sharp and personal. The human sitting beside Elena shifted uncomfortably, one of them opening his mouth as if to defend her. But she raised her hand gently, silencing him before he could speak. Her calm presence froze him in place. It was as if she had planned for this exact moment. Elena lifted her eyes, meeting the gaze of the alien diplomat without fear. She did not speak yet, but the weight of her stare was enough to make the chamber grow quieter. The laughter died down, curiosity beginning to replace cruelty for the first time. The council leaned forward not to laugh, but to listen. They wanted to see what this fragile human woman would do. Would she beg? Would she cry? Would she break like the others? But Elena did none of those things. She simply waited, letting the silence grow, letting the tension stretch until even the alien diplomat grew restless. His smile faltered slightly, his golden eyes narrowing. He was a creature used to control, used to power, yet here was one small human, making the chamber feel as if she held the strings. Finally, when the silence could stretch no longer, Elena spoke. Her voice was not loud, but it carried through the chamber with perfect clarity. It was calm, measured, and steady, like the voice of someone who had faced storms before and never bowed. "I hear your words," she said, her tone even. "And yes, much of what you say is true." The chamber stirred at once. Aliens turned to each other in surprise, some clicking. In amusement, some gasping. Did this human just admit it? Did she just agree with her own humiliation? The alien diplomat's smile returned, wider than before. He leaned forward, sensing victory. "So you admit it," he said, his voice like thunder. "You admit that humanity is weak, violent, unworthy of the stars." But Elena did not lower her eyes. She did not tremble. Instead, she raised her chin slightly, her calm gaze piercing through the arrogance of the alien diplomat. "I admit," she said, "that we are flawed. We have fought wars. We have made mistakes. We have stumbled many times." Her words rang like quiet bells in the vast chamber. The aliens leaned closer, confused by her honesty. No one had expected this. No one had expected a human to answer mockery with acceptance. The alien diplomat's smile twisted, uncertain now. He had expected denial, excuses, desperate pleas. But this calm acceptance disarmed him. It was not the reaction of prey. It was the reaction of someone preparing to strike. Elena continued, her eyes never leaving his. "But to say that is all we are is to ignore the truth. Yes, we fight, but we also heal. Yes, we destroy, but we also create. We are not perfect, but we are not finished." The murmurs in the chamber grew louder. Some aliens frowned, others exchanged glances. This was not the broken silence they had expected. This was something different, something dangerous. Elena took a single step forward, her presence quiet but commanding. "You speak of our wars, our mistakes, our failures. But tell me this, alien diplomat. Name one species in this chamber that rose from caves to the stars in so little time. Name one who learned to tame fire, to cross oceans, to cure diseases, to paint the sky with machines while still so young, still so fragile." The silence that followed was heavier than stone. The alien diplomat opened his mouth, but no words came. His golden eyes flickered with doubt. Just for a moment, Elena's voice did not rise, but it grew stronger, filled with quiet conviction. "You call us violent, and yet, in our violence, we learned peace. You call us reckless, and yet, in our recklessness, we discovered courage. You call us fragile, and yet, in our fragility, we found resilience stronger than steel." Her words struck the chamber like waves against stone. The aliens shifted uncomfortably, some lowering their eyes. The laughter was gone now, replaced by silence so deep that even the walls seemed to hold their breath. The alien diplomat clenched his jaw, his arrogance beginning to crack. He had meant to humiliate her, to humiliate all of humanity. But instead, he had given her the stage, and now she was turning it against him. Elena paused, her calm gaze sweeping the chamber. Every alien eye was on her now, every whisper silenced, every breath held. She was no longer just a woman, no longer just a human. She was a storm in the shape of flesh, and her voice, steady and clear, was rewriting the story of humanity in the stars. Asterisk. The counterattack. The alien diplomat's smile had faded. The sharp glow in his golden eyes flickered as if unsure. The chamber that once roared with cruel laughter now sat in tense silence. Every alien leaned forward, waiting, watching, sensing that something had changed. And in the middle of it all stood Dr. Elena Carter, the quiet woman who had been mocked, the human who had been dismissed. She did not raise her voice. She did not shout, but her calm words carried farther than thunder. "You call us weak," she said softly. "And yet, what is weakness if not the chance to grow? What is fragility if not the reason to fight harder?" We are not ashamed of our scars, alien diplomat. We carry them as lessons. The chamber shifted. A low murmur spread across the alien seats. Some frowned. Others whispered. It was unusual to hear such words from a human, unusual and unsettling. Alien diplomat straightened, his metallic form glinting in the council's light. You speak pretty words, he said coldly. But words do not erase blood. Your kind has drowned your own world in war. You murder each other. You poison your skies. You threaten to burn your planet even now. Alina nodded slowly, surprising him again. Yes, she said. We have done all of that. We have spilled blood. We have made fire our master. We have nearly broken ourselves. Her eyes swept the chamber, locking with alien eyes one by one. But every mistake we make becomes a teacher. Every fall we suffer becomes a step forward. That is what you do not understand. We do not remain broken. We rise. Her voice grew steadier, sharper. When our ancestors first lit fire, they burned their hands, but they learned. And with that fire they shaped the world. When our nations tore each other apart with war, we also created medicine that saves millions. We built machines that touch the moon. We built art so powerful that even our enemies wept. We are not a perfect race, but we are a race that refuses to stay the same. The alien diplomat's jaw tightened. His golden eyes darted across the chamber as whispers grew louder. This was not what he had planned. The mockery had been his weapon, but she was turning every strike into strength. Alina stepped closer, her calm gaze fixed on him. You call us violent, she said. But tell me, which of you in this chamber was born in peace? Which empire did not rise on war, on blood, on conquest? You call us reckless, but were you not reckless when you reached the stars? You call us fragile, yet here we stand, fragile and unbroken, fragile and still rising. The chamber grew restless. Some aliens who had laughed earlier now sat in silence. Others glanced at one another, uneasy, for her words carried a truth that none could deny. Alina lifted her hand, pointing not at the alien diplomat, but at the banners floating above. Every symbol here, she said, belongs to a people who once fought, who once stumbled, who once bled. And yet you call us lesser because we have not hidden our scars. We do not hide them, we wear them, because we know that tomorrow we will be stronger than today. Her words cut through the air like lightning. The alien diplomat opened his mouth, but nothing came. His tongue, sharp with mockery before, faltered against the weight of her truth. Alina's calm voice lowered, but it grew heavier, filled with quiet power. You see our chaos, our wars, our fire, but you do not see what they create. You do not see the hands of humans building bridges where war once stood. You do not see the children who dream of stars, even while the night burns around them. You do not see the resilience that has carried us from caves to space in a fraction of time. We are not finished. We are only beginning. The chamber fell into silence again, but this silence was different. It was not cruel. It was not mocking. It was heavy, thoughtful, the kind of silence that came when truth was heard. Alien diplomat's smile was gone now. His golden eyes narrowed, his voice sharper, but thinner. You twist words, he said, his confidence shaking. You make weakness sound like strength, but the truth remains. You are dangerous, your wars, your weapons. Alina stepped closer, her voice slicing through his protest. Yes, we are dangerous, she said firmly, because we are not afraid to change. We are not afraid to admit mistakes. We are not afraid to rise from ashes again and again. That is why you fear us, alien diplomat. Not because we are weak, but because we cannot be stopped. Her words struck like hammers against stone. The alien diplomat flinched, his arrogance cracking before the eyes of the council. The murmurs grew louder now, some voices carrying respect, others carrying unease. But no one laughed anymore. Alina's gaze swept the chamber once more, her final words cutting through the silence. You thought we would sit here in shame. You thought your words would break us, but you have only given me the chance to remind you of this. Humanity does not bow. Humanity learns, humanity rises, humanity endures. We are not a story of perfection. We are a story of survival. And that, council members, is far greater than any empire of glass and gold. The chamber erupted, not in laughter this time, but in voices rising, arguing, whispering, wondering. Some alien diplomats leaned forward, their eyes filled with new respect. Others frowned, disturbed by the strength hidden in her simple words. The alien diplomat sat frozen, humiliated in silence. For the first time he had been struck not by weapons, but by truth. And in that moment, humanity's place in the stars no longer seemed so small, because one human woman had dared to turn mockery into fire, and fire into strength. The challenge the chamber of the Galactic Council had never been this silent. The echoes of Elena's words still lingered in the air like sparks from a fire. She stood calm and unshaken, while the alien diplomat sat frozen, his golden eyes dimmer than before. He had mocked her people, but now she had turned the fire back on him, and the council, once laughing, now leaned forward in heavy silence, waiting to see what would happen next. Elena let the quiet stretch. She knew silence was a weapon too. Every second that passed made the alien diplomat's failure heavier. Every breath of silence whispered, "He has no answer." Then, with a calm step forward, Elena spoke again. Her voice was steady, soft, but it cut through the chamber like a blade. "You speak of power, alien diplomat. You speak of strength, of wisdom, of civilizations older than our world, and yet, tell me this." She raised her hand, pointing at the banners above. "Name one species here that began with nothing, with empty hands, with fragile bodies. Name one that rose from caves and dirt to stand here among the stars in such a short time. Name one." Her words echoed like thunder. The alien diplomat opened his mouth, but no words came. His golden eyes shifted, searching, but there was no answer. No species in the chamber had risen as quickly as humanity. Most had been guided by ancient empires, or had inherited technology, but humans had carved their path with blood, sweat, and stubborn will. The silence that followed was heavy. Every alien diplomat stared at Elena. Some fidgeted in unease, others lowered their eyes. Even those who hated humans could not deny her truth. Elena's voice grew sharper. "You call us violent, but tell me, what species here was born in peace? Which of you did not conquer, did not fight, did not bleed to build your empires? You call us reckless, but tell me, what explorer is not reckless when reaching beyond the edge of the known? You call us fragile, and yet, in our fragility, we dared to face the void itself." The murmurs began again, not of laughter, but of recognition. Aliens shifted in their seats, their expressions no longer cruel. Some looked at Elena with something new respect. Others looked with unease, realizing the danger of a species that learned so fast. The alien diplomat's jaw tightened. He slammed his metallic hand against the railing, his voice sharp with desperation. "You twist words. Yes, you rise quickly, but you fall just as quickly. You build cities, then burn them. You build peace, then break it. You will destroy yourselves before you ever master the stars." Elena did not flinch. Instead, she smiled calm, knowing. Steady, her smile made the alien diplomat falter, because it was not the smile of someone defeated. It was the smile of someone who already knew the outcome. "Yes," she said, "we build and we break, but every time we fall, we rise stronger. That is our gift, alien diplomat. That is what makes us dangerous. Not our weapons, not our wars, but our ability to learn, our refusal to stay broken." She took another step forward, her voice growing heavier. "Look at us, still young, still fragile, still flawed, and yet, here we stand among you. Not because you welcomed us, but because we refused to stay in the dirt. Because no wall, no failure, no enemy has ever kept humanity from rising again." The council stirred. Some diplomats whispered to one another. "She is right," one said softly. "They rise too quickly," another murmured, unease in its voice. A third leaned back, its Many eyes fixed on Alina. Perhaps that is why they are feared, it whispered. The alien diplomat's golden eyes flared, but there was no confidence left in them. He could feel the weight of the council shifting. He had wanted laughter, but now there was only silence and doubt. And all of it was turning against him. Elena fixed her gaze on him, her voice calm but unrelenting. You wanted to test humanity. You wanted to shame us, to prove we do not belong here. But the truth is clear. Your words cannot break us. Your laughter cannot erase us. We are not the weakest species here. We are the most dangerous. The alien diplomat stiffened, his mouth opened. But again, no words came. The golden fire in his eyes dimmed as the weight of her challenge pressed down on him. Elena did not stop. Her voice grew stronger, her words now like iron. You fear us not because we are weak, but because you see what we could become. You see that in 1,000 years, humanity will not only stand among you, we will lead, we will endure when others fall, we will rise where others break, and you cannot stop it. The chamber erupted, not with laughter, but with chaos. Voices clashed. Some shouting in anger, some in awe. Diplomats argued. Some demanding humanity be silenced, others demanding their place be respected. The calm order of the council was broken, and at the center of it stood Elena Carter, unmoved, calm, powerful. The alien diplomat sat frozen, humiliated before them. He had tried to bury humanity in shame, but instead, he had exposed the truth he feared most. That even fragile creatures, even violent dreamers, even reckless humans, could not be broken. Elena's eyes swept the chamber one last time. Her words dropped like the final strike of a hammer. Mock us if you wish, but remember this. Every empire that underestimated humanity has fallen to us. Every enemy that thought us weak has learned too late what we are. We do not stop, we do not bow. We endure, we rise, and we are not done yet. The chamber fell silent. The alien diplomat's golden eyes dimmed to shadows, and for the first time, the Galactic Council did not laugh at humans. They looked at them with something else entirely: fear and respect. The silence of the council. The chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt so heavy. The air itself seemed to thicken with silence, as if the walls were holding their breath. Moments ago, laughter had echoed through the vast hall, cruel and sharp, but now not a single sound dared to rise. The alien diplomat sat rigid, his golden eyes dimmed like dying suns. He had mocked, he had jeered, he had humiliated, but in the end, he had been struck down not by weapons, not by armies, but by the calm voice of one human woman, Dr. Elena Carter stood at the center of the chamber, her hands folded, her gaze steady. She did not smile, she did not gloat. Her silence now was heavier than her words had been. She let the weight of her truth hang in the air, forcing every being in the chamber to face it. Aliens shifted uneasily in their seats. Some tapped their claws nervously, some lowered their many eyes. Even the most powerful among them could not deny what had been spoken. Humanity, fragile, reckless, flawed, had shown a strength they did not understand. The strength to rise again and again. A tall, feathered alien leaned forward, its silver plumes trembling. Did you hear her words? It whispered to its neighbor. They fall, but they rise. Always rise. Another, its translucent skin glowing with blue veins, frowned deeply. If that is true, then their growth will not stop, it muttered. In time, they will stand equal to us, perhaps even surpass us. The murmurs spread like ripples across water, small voices at first, uncertain, but soon more joined, some filled with unease, others with respect. The chamber was no longer united in laughter. It was divided, shaken. The alien diplomat clenched his metallic hand against the railing. He could feel control slipping from him. He had meant to make humanity a joke, a warning. Instead, the council now whispered of human strength, of human resilience. The very thing he had feared was happening before his eyes. Enough, he said, sharply, his voice breaking the silence, but even his thunderous tone sounded weaker than before. Some aliens turned to look at him, but their eyes no longer held the same trust. They had seen his weapon of mockery fail. They had seen him struck down by words. Elena's eyes turned to him, calm and steady. She did not speak, not yet. Her silence cut deeper than her words. It told the council, "I do not need to fight you. You are already defeated." The alien diplomat shifted uncomfortably under her gaze. For the first time in centuries, he felt small. Not because of her size, not because of her power, but because she had exposed his weakness, his fear. One of the elder council members, a being older than human civilization itself, finally spoke. Its voice was deep and slow, like stone moving under the sea. "Perhaps we have been too quick to judge," it rumbled. "Perhaps these humans are not to be dismissed so easily." The words struck the chamber like lightning. Several aliens gasped, others murmured in agreement. The alien diplomat stiffened, his golden eyes flaring in anger. "No!" he roared, his voice echoing. "You cannot believe this woman. She is nothing. Her people are reckless children. They are dangerous. They will burn the stars as they burned their own world." But his words no longer carried the same weight. The chamber did not laugh with him. The chamber did not rise to his side. Instead, the silence after his voice was louder than his roar. Elena finally spoke, her calm tone soft but unshakable. "You call us dangerous," she said. "And you are right. We are dangerous, not because we destroy, but because we endure, because we rise, because nothing, not war, not fire, not mockery can break us." Her words fell into the silence like stones into deep water. The ripples spread again, across every seat, across every alien heart. Some looked at her with fear, others with admiration, but none looked at her with mockery anymore. The alien diplomat's golden eyes dimmed further. He looked around the chamber, desperate for support, but where once he had allies laughing at his side, now he found only silence. Silence that accused him, silence that mocked him, silence that told him he had lost. His jaw tightened, his metallic frame trembling. "You will regret this," he hissed, but even as he spoke, his voice cracked with weakness. The words carried no power, no authority. They sounded more like fear than command. Elena did not reply. She simply held his gaze, her silence stronger than any insult. And the chamber, vast and ancient, seemed to hold its breath again. It was a silence that spoke louder than words. It was the silence of a council beginning to shift, the silence of a species no longer mocked, the silence of humanity standing tall. Slowly, one by one, council members leaned back in their seats. Their eyes remained fixed on Elena, their minds turning, calculating, reconsidering. The fragile humans had entered this chamber as prey, but now, before their eyes, they stood as something else entirely. The alien diplomat clenched his jaw so tightly the sound of grinding metal filled the air. He had lost, not in battle, not in war, but in silence, defeated by the voice of a human woman and the truth of her people. And in that silence, the future of humanity began to change. The turning point. The Galactic Council chamber was frozen. In silence, every alien, from the oldest to the youngest, sat motionless, their eyes fixed on the woman at the center. Moments ago, humanity had been mocked, belittled, laughed at. But now, that laughter was gone, replaced by something heavier, something sharper. Dr. Elena Carter stood calm and unshaken, her presence filling the chamber like a quiet storm. The alien diplomat glared at her, his golden eyes flickering like dying flames. He wanted to speak, he wanted to strike back, but the words would not come. She had taken the weapon of mockery from his hands and turned it into chains that bound him. Elena let the silence stretch. She knew the silence was hers now. Not his, not the council's, hers. Every being in that vast chamber leaned forward, waiting for her next words, and when she finally spoke, her voice was calm, steady, but filled with unshakable strength. "You call us reckless, violent, fragile," she said. "And you are not wrong. We are reckless, we are violent, we are fragile, But we are also something you fear. We are a species that refuses to end." Her words rolled across the chamber like thunder. She raised her hand, pointing not at the Gandhi, alien diplomat, but at the banners above. "You look at us and see war, but war taught us courage. You look at us and see fire, but fire gave us light. You look at us and see chaos, but chaos shaped our will. You see our flaws, but you do not see the truth, that every flaw we have becomes the reason we grow stronger." A murmur spread through the chamber. Not mocking, not cruel, but thoughtful, shaken. Some aliens lowered their eyes, others exchanged uneasy glances. They could not deny it. Even in their own histories, every great power had risen from struggle. And now they saw that humanity was no different. Elena's gaze returned to the alien diplomat, her eyes calm but sharp as steel. "You wanted us to stand here in shame," she said, "but look around you. Do you hear laughter? Do you hear mockery? No, what you hear is silence, because the truth has silenced them. And the truth is this: humanity will not bow, not to you, not to anyone." The alien diplomat's golden eyes flared with anger. "You dare," he began, but Elena stepped forward, cutting him off with her calm voice. "Yes, I dare," she said firmly, "because every empire that underestimated us has learned too late what we are. We do not stop, we do not break, we endure, we rise, we become stronger than before." Her words struck the chamber like hammers. The alien diplomat froze, his jaw tight, his body trembling with fury. But there was nothing he could say, nothing he could use to fight back, because she had already won. Elena's eyes swept the council once more, her voice steady and clear. "You sit in judgment of us, but remember this: we reached the stars not because we were invited, but because we refused to stay in the dirt. We are here not because we are perfect, but because we endure. And that is a power greater than perfection." The chamber shook with murmurs. Some voices carried respect, others carried fear, but none carried laughter. The fragile humans were no longer prey. They were something else, something new, something dangerous. The elder council member with the voice like stone finally spoke. "This woman speaks truth," it rumbled slowly. "Her words carry weight, perhaps. Humanity has earned its place here." The chamber erupted, not in laughter, but in chaos. Voices clashed, some in anger, some in awe. A few diplomats shouted that humanity was still too reckless, too dangerous, but others, powerful voices, argued that humanity's strength was undeniable, that resilience itself was a power, that perhaps the council needed such power. The alien diplomat slammed his metallic hand on the railing, his voice desperate. "You cannot believe this. They will destroy us all. They will consume the stars as they consumed their own world." But even as he roared, his voice carried no weight. The council no longer followed his laughter. The council no longer looked at him as leader. They looked at Elena Carter, the human woman who had turned mockery into fire. Elena did not smile. She did not need to. She simply stood, silent and calm, letting the chaos of the chamber swirl around her, because she knew the truth. The battle had already been won. Not with armies, not with weapons, but with words, slowly. The chamber quieted again. One by one, voices fell silent, until the vast hall was filled only with the sound of breathing. Every alien eye turned to Elena once more. Every heart waited for her final words. She stepped forward, her voice soft, but unshakable. "Mock us if you wish, fear us if you must, but remember this: humanity is not finished. We are only beginning, and in time, you will not laugh at us. You will stand with us, or you will fall before us." The silence that followed was like the silence before a storm. The alien diplomat sat frozen, humiliated, defeated. The council stared at Elena with eyes that no longer held contempt. Now they held something else, respect and fear. And in that moment, humanity's story in the stars began, not as weak prey, not as reckless children, but as a species the galaxy could no longer ignore. Because one human woman had stood against the laughter of the stars and silenced it.